As the first state, as it's closer to elections, EC has decided they're going to thoroughly check whether voters are legit, those mentioned on the electoral rolls. Of course, opposition up in arms. Rahul Gandhi now daring the Election Commission. I'm going to take you through in detail with our panelists on that. And then we will be coming to Supreme Court slamming High Court for giving bail to Darshan. Of course, Prime Minister Modi also signing a deal, a trade deal with United Kingdom. We're looking at free trade between India and UK. A lot of benefits. We will break that down for you. As always, the headlines first. India-UK sign a landmark free trade deal to double trade by 2030. Whiskey, autos, textiles to get cheaper. Prime Minister Modi and Keir Starmer oversee the deal, slashing tariffs on British whiskey, premium cars and Indian leather, footwear, apparels. Now you also have people wanting to freelance easily to stay in the UK up to 2 years. Rahul Gandhi tells Election Commission, we are going to come after you. Congress claims 100% proof of voter fraud. Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi shares a fiery email to poll panel, alleges Election Commission enabled cheating in Karnataka constituency. Air India under regulatory lenses for violations of crew rest norms, training rules and flight operations. Airline cites voluntary disclosures, vows full compliance. Basically, Air India has got multiple notices now for non-compliance and also flagging off fatigue of pilots. Asian Cricket Council confirms India as official host for Asia Cup T20, which is all set to take place in UAE, with Team India likely to play all matches in Dubai. A possible India-Pakistan match also on the cards. Karnataka Chief Minister calls the Lok Sabha results as suspicious, accuses Election Commission of aiding the BJP, alleges voter list manipulation, endorses Rahul Gandhi's fraud charges against the Election Commission's SIR drive. The CBI is probing a larger conspiracy, evidence tampering in RG Kar trainee doctor rape murder case. An agency scanning 32 TB CCTV footage examines 7 witnesses amid ongoing investigation, and it appears that they suggest there could be tampering at the scene of crime. Pakistan Prime Minister offers talks, cites UK's role in easing India tensions. Shehbaz Sharif says Islamabad is ready for meaningful dialogue with India on all outstanding issues during meeting with UK High Commissioner Jane Marriott. Temple has been vandalized in Australia days after Indian student was assaulted. In Australia, a racist graffiti comes up at the Melbourne Hindu temple. In fact, this is not one-off case. Asian eateries and many other places there have faced such hate crimes. Russian plane crashes, kills 49 on board. The Soviet-era AN-24 plane crashes near Tinda, Far East Russia, which is closer to China. A passenger plane carrying 49 people, including five children, have died right after the crash. Right, let me take you through our top story here. Bihar SIR drive, the voter revision that's being carried out by the Election Commission, has really become the full flashpoint across political circles, from Bihar Assembly all the way to the Parliament. We're looking at the same issue resonating. Let me start with what's happened in the last few days. A massive political row that's erupted over the Election Commission's special intensive revision drive of voter rolls in Bihar, just months before Bihar's state polls. Over 56 lakh voters from Bihar's electoral lists have been deleted. Voters are marked deceased or migrated. Election Commission says that this they carried out and declared after thorough survey. They say this is a cleanup drive that's absolutely essential to weed out duplicates. We do know there are repeated names. In fact, there are duplicates in every electoral list. I've had mine in Bengaluru, so it's very understandable that the EC wants to commit to ensuring these electoral rolls are cleaned up. In fact, they say that many of them are residing in somewhere else, but their voter ID says that they are still residing in the same place. They could very well have voter rights in another state, but still their name is in Bihar's electoral list. So here the EC saying that these lists that currently stands in Bihar is inflated, it's ineligible, and gives basically multiple explanations as to how Bihar has urbanized. There's been migration in the last 20 years, and the scale at which the voters list has now been chopped off has really angered the opposition party leaders, where they smell a deeper political intent behind the Election Commission's exercise. So opposition alleges that this exercise is targeted, it's rushed into, and is reminiscent of an NRC exercise where Election Commission officials are actually going knocking door to door and checking, despite having Aadhaar card or your basic identity proof. That's not enough. EC is carrying out this drive by actually physically seeing the person, if that person is there in their designated address, and only then marking them as eligible to vote from there. So according to the opposition, this is deliberate attempt to actually score out scores of voters, particularly the poor and minorities, and importantly act at the behest of the BJP to favor the BJP by cleaning up, quote unquote, the electoral roll. Opposition's remarks here. Now, protests have rocked Bihar. It's echoed the parliament as well, while the EC insists that it's constitutionally bound to maintain accurate rolls. Opposition, of course, arguing that this is first time voters are being asked to prove their citizenship. Never has it happened before. This is the first time EC is pushing voters to the corner to prove their citizenship, because even Aadhaar is not a good ID card, good enough identity proof for the EC, as per this drive. Now, Bihar, of course, is the first state that the Election Commission is carrying out the SIR exercise. It could very well happen across India. So this certainly resonates among all of us. What next? In which state? Now, Bihar is going for elections in a few months, so it appears that EC has decided to start with Bihar. The last SIR exercise was conducted in 2003. EC says it's now about time that they carry out this process to weed out all the fakes from the electoral list. And they say that this is faster, it's digital, the process. In a way, it is door to door, but yet it's digitized, so it's easier for people to comply. And they're going to complete this entire survey within 31 days ahead of the November elections. But of course, many questions now remain. Will digital verification, according to the EC, really cover all constituencies fairly? What happens if people are actually having the right to vote in that constituency, living in that address, but at the time of the survey were not present? So a lot of questions cropping up. Why is Aadhaar not a valid proof of address or identity? So this is basically, in a way, according to the opposition, dubbed as a citizenship drive, basically to check your citizenship, nothing less or nothing short of that. And in a way, inadvertently targeting the minorities and the poor. This is the opposition's stance. I'm going to take you to Rahul Gandhi. He basically has challenged the Election Commission, saying that this entire exercise carried out by the EC is absolute fraud. Here's what Rahul Gandhi says, challenging the EC.
Election Commission is not functioning as the Election Commission of India. Today they made some statement. This is complete nonsense, right? The fact of the matter is that Election Commission is not doing its job. And I want to send a message to Election Commission. Yes, sir. If you think you're going to get away with this, if your officers think you're going to get away with this, you're mistaken. You're not going to get away with it. Because we are going to come for you.
भाई जब एक बात स्पष्ट है, सब कुछ तय हो ही गया है कि भाई बेईमानी करना ही है, खुलेआम बेईमानी करना है, वोटर लिस्ट से लाखों का नाम काट देना है, और यही लाखों वोटर जो थे मोदी जी को वोट दिया, कई सरकारें चुनी, तब ठीक था। अब ये अचानक से गड़बड़ कहां से हो गया? यही तो सवाल पूछा जा रहा है। यानी सरकार के लोग आज खुद ही कह रहे थे कि भाई हम फर्जी चुन करके आए हैं और फिर से फर्जी चुन करके आएंगे। तो जब बेईमानी करना है तो हम लोग इस पे विचार कर सकते हैं बॉयकॉट करने का चुनाव। तो क्या मतलब रह जाएगा? तो हम लोग इस पे गंभीर होकर के चुनाव बहिष्कार पर चर्चा हम लोग कर सकते हैं। ये विकल्प हमारे पास खुला है।
मोटी बात यह है कि आपको रिवीजन से क्यों भागते हैं? क्या आप चाहते हैं कि वो व्यक्ति वोट दे जो उनकी मृत्यु हो गई है? क्या आप चाहते हैं उन लोगों को आप वोट देने के लिए कहते हैं जो उस क्षेत्र में रहते नहीं हैं तो दूसरी जगह चले गए? तो क्या मतलब है इसका? इसका मतलब क्या है?
All right, let me quickly cut across to our panelists who are joining us on this. Of course, there are many versions coming in on this. Election Commission justifying that this is a much needed drive to clean up all the mess in the electoral rolls. And we should admit that across India, these are issues that prevail. You have people who've died years ago. Their names are still on the list. You have duplicates. You have people who have voters' rights elsewhere, but still their name is on the list in another state. So this was the need of the hour, but should it have been done right ahead of elections, barely a few months before Bihar elections? Let me bring in our panelists joining us for a little more on this. Thanks very much, Ajit K. Jha, senior journalist, for joining me here tonight. We also have Karuna Sagar, spokesperson of the Congress, and Manish Bariyar, spokesperson of the BJP. Manish, shall I start with you, as you are part of the ruling there in NDA that's currently governing the state of Bihar. Of course, questions being raised with over 56 lakh voters being axed from Bihar's electoral roll. Is this indeed voter purity you're looking at, or electoral advantage? I know the Election Commission is an independent body. It has nothing to do with political parties, but still your justification on this.
So, namaskar to you, Nabila ji, and to both my co-panelists as well as the viewers. I was listening to Mr. Tejasvi Yadav. So he was saying that all these voters, they are being removed. They are essentially those kind of voters, those who have, voted for Mr. Modi during the parliamentary election. And then he is also saying that these kind of people are the ones, who are going to vote for us. So then he has to decide which way he is. Am I audible?
You are now, but it seems like your connection is very patchy.
Yeah,
but you're fine now.
If I'm
Go
audible,
on.
I can repeat that. Yeah,
No, we heard you. We heard you.
Said.
You can continue.
Okay.
We heard you.
So, okay. So, it is very important for him to really talk sense, because he is assuming that all these voters that are basically they are duplicate voters. A lot of voters have passed away. So he's assuming all these voters are his. So that's ludicrous, isn't it? How is so sure? Has he seen the list? Nobody has seen the list. So Election Commission is doing its job. Actually, what I have always said, this is a mindset of, what we call defeatist mindset. It is also a blame game. Earlier he was, and Rahul Gandhi was also talking about EVMs. So they always need something or the other to blame. Otherwise, why would somebody 4 months before election would be so low on confidence?
The question here is, why is Aadhaar card not allowed, voters ID not allowed? None of this is satisfactory evidence for the Election Commission. In that case, across India, if this drive is going to be carried out, then you'll have many people who will be axed off the list, because all they rely on is a Aadhaar card, is a voter's card, which they've managed to make somehow. But poor people, to actually prove their citizenship, they might not well have documents that actually prove where they are from. Those kind of people are really going to be the real sufferers.
It is not possible, Nabila ji. In fact, as you know that there are crores of people who get government aids, and a number of programs are running in this country, and they are all running for poor people, and they get everything. So to say that they are going to miss it is something which I feel that it is far-fetched. Because as you would, when you go to villages and other places, you would know that they are very, very vigilant about every government program. And so therefore, that part is something which I feel is not possible. That's one. Second, we have had discussion on this, in fact, a number of times, that apart from Aadhaar and other, let's take a voter ID card, there are definitely so many other documents that are required and there is one of those documents, and it is there generally with everyone, because on those documents only they get all these government programs that are running. So therefore there is no question of somebody not having Aadhaar and missing out. So that's not possible. Another aspect is that there is a physical verification also.
Okay, so I get that. Physical verification, again there are questions about migrant voters not being available there. Bihar has one of the largest migrant populations. So what happens then? Now my question is, digital process. You are the EC is boasting of a digital process here. Now how far and beyond is India digitized? We're looking at large parts of rural Bihar who don't understand D of digitization.
No, I would beg to differ. They don't need to really understand digitization, but they do take benefits of digitization for sure. You please come to Bihar once and you will see.
I'm not opposing it. I am not opposing it. But when it comes down to something as crucial as your voter rights, your voting rights.
Let me complete.
You can't. You got to give them the benefit of doubt. No, but it doesn't seem like there's room for that.
See, these are all doubts that are basically figments of imagination. Now digitization is there at the ground level, basic level. Everybody does UPI. People use Paytm at the lowest level. So for this to argue that anybody could be left out,
but it's also unfair to assume or presume that you have every inch of Bihar digitized. That's also presumptuous to say that most parts of Bihar is digitized, because it's not.
I differ on you on this. I again differ on this, because the lowest strata of people, they are getting food, they are getting government programs, and how do you think they are getting it? Do they not have bank accounts out there? So they are all getting it. So I am not saying digitization has happened, but they are taking benefits of digitization for sure.
Okay.
And this
my concern is also 30 days time. 30 days time, crores of population of Bihar. Is the EC really going to manage to complete that survey? They've said 98% is already complete.
Absolutely. So why do you doubt the constitutional body?
Skeptical, and it's not me alone. Of course, people at large, those who are watching us, I'm sure there are people who are skeptical. If an exercise of such a mammoth exercise like this can be carried out in 30 days time, this crash course, how transparent can it possibly be? But I will bring in Karuna. You stay with us. Karuna, who's a Congress spokesperson, sir, please.
Yeah, Nabila, this is not about voting list. This is about voting rights. This is a bureaucratic voter purge, timed during floods, migration season, and with zero awareness campaigns. It is not voter verification, it is voter elimination. And the BJP spokesperson has been talking about the KYC document. The KYC documents which are relevant for government schemes, which are relevant for opening an account, has not been accepted as a valid document by the Election Commission. And you know, Bihar, the literacy rate is very low. The documentation is scarce state. The birth certificate and death certificates are very difficult to come by in Bihar. There are more than 2.8 crore youth who do not have birth certificate. So ultimately, the 11 documents that the EC is depending on, if they focus only on those 11 documents, there is a very large number of people who will be disenfranchised. And that is why, you see, EC has not been following its own norms. The BLOs sitting in the office are filling forms, getting fictitious signatures, not visiting homes. If anybody can do verification in the field, and they will know that the fact that 3 times that a BLO is supposed to come, they are supposed to give 2 sets of documents, and after filling in the documents, give 1 receipt. It has to be checked, and all the local media that has been going in the field and our own party workers who are in the field, they are finding that this is not being followed. So EC is just getting half-baked forms, and after that, elimination becomes very easy, because they just have to sit with a BJP worker and decide who is legit and who is not legit. Because most of the cases, these documents have not been provided by the citizens.
You know, but my question to you, Karuna, would be, is this not about time that the Election Commission carries out a cleanup drive? Would you not agree that in your own constituency you have so many duplicates? In mine there are, and I can guarantee that. I've seen my name a couple of times. I've seen my family's names. I've seen people who are no more in my family whose names are still on the list. So it is a persistent issue across the nation. So let's not forget that this is also a drive that is much needed. My question is it needed 30 days before, or within 30 days, is it possible to actually have a more transparent exercise?
Yes, Nabila, you see, in 2003, the last SIR was conducted. And after 2003, there has been 10 elections in Bihar, assembly elections and parliament elections. In January, the Election Commission held a meeting with 4,000 stakeholders. There was no talk of
basically, you're raising questions on the timing of this exercise, not on the sanctity of it.
No, I am discussing about the procedure which is being adopted, the time frame which is given. And you see, Bihar has a large number of migrant population. You yourself said in your opening remarks. Now, these people who are in different parts of the country, they can't come once to get their voter verification done and again come back
Karuna,
for voting.
You know, I have a question for you. Fine,
Yes.
you do not have faith in the BJP. Of course, that's your opponent. That's who you're fighting in the state. But a little faith in the Election Commission that this could be very well-meaning, and they want to ensure eligible voters have the right to vote, and those who are and those who probably do not have their voters ID will now get it. Why isn't the BJP or why isn't the Congress or the RJD thinking of actually carrying out a sensitization drive? Maybe you can sensitize people that EC is coming to your doorstep. Please ensure you have your documents. These are the kind of documents you got to keep. Carry out a sensitization drive.
The
Help
documents
them
are simply
meet the criteria.
the documents are simply not available. And second thing is, a large part of Bihar is inaccessible because of the flood. And why we are suspicious is that you give 30 days time on 24th June without any discussion, without any press meeting, and till today, the Election Commission has not held a press meeting. They have been only talking through the press releases. If their methods were transparent, why are they hiding away from the people, and why are they hiding away?
But they've promptly broken it down. They've broken it down. There are 20 lakh deceased. There are that many lakh migrants. They've broken down the numbers and given a press release. Now a press conference
there is a press release,
and a press release are both the same. Well, it may not be entirely the same, but at least it's a statement coming out from the EC, right? It's an official statement that the EC has given out. Those are the numbers. The breakdown that EC has given very clearly. Total entries that have been cut off is 56 lakhs, out of which 28 lakh have migrated, so their names have been cut off. 20 lakh voters are deceased. 20 lakh voters, dead voters, names on the list. If this is to go by, that's shocking. And I laud the EC for actually doing the job they did.
You see, your panelist here, Mr. Ajit K. Jha, comes from Bihar. You ask him, is it possible
that was my
for
question
such
to
an
him,
exercise? Yeah, please ask
Ajit,
him. Such an
your
exercise
answers
to
to
be conducted
Mr.
in
Karuna,
Bihar
of course,
in this
Manish is
within 30
firefighting
days.
the dissent, but Karuna has a lot of questions you might want to answer. We don't have an EC rep here, but why don't you tell us, is it possible for an election commission to carry out a mammoth exercise in possibly the largest state in the country, Bihar, with a population of that size, in 30 days time through digitization, when lots of parts of Bihar are still getting affiliated with what digital is all about?
Okay, first of all, let me point out, this is the first EC in the history of India who became an EC with no participation of the judiciary in the selection process. All you had was the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, and the leader of the opposition. Normally, or not normally, this is unprecedented. We've never had an EC selection in this manner. So at that time, Rahul Gandhi had objected. At that time, the entire opposition had objected. But because the BJP has the numbers, they thrust it on the country. So the credibility of the EC is raised right from the point of selection, number one. Number two, permanently migrated. How do you define that? Let me give you an example all American voters, they sit in India and vote either in the embassy or through postal ballot. Why don't you institute that system? What does it mean? Just because your booth level officer went in 25 days time 3 times to the home of the person concerned, he defined that as permanently migrated. What documents do you have
No,
to prove that?
exactly. Permanently migrated is
it's
not in the nature of Indians. It's not in India's
Exactly.
DNA
So
where they
basically
actually
they are
let go of their
defrauding.
hometown or their home state entirely. In fact, most Indians have a habit of holding their electoral rights in their home state.
So that's the point, that basically they are defrauding. They are actually disenfranchising poor voters. Many of them who come to Delhi, during this time when there are no jobs in Bihar, they come to Delhi, as a construction worker. They go back to vote because, in India, most of the time when it is voting, they get a little amount of money from some political party or the other or some program. So they go home back. Now, they don't have the money to
Rahul
keep
Gandhi's words are resonating with you, Ajit.
So
Rahul
can I-
Gandhi calls
can
this
I
a fraud.
Join in, Nabila ji.
Just a moment, sir.
Nabila, can I come in?
Just a moment. Let Ajit complete. Huh.
Look, Rahul Gandhi is angry, so is Tejashwi. Rahul Gandhi, when he said that the EC, he's raising questions about the credibility of the EC, so would I. I think the mistake that Rahul Gandhi is doing strategically, according to me, he's saying that I am going to prove 100% in Karnataka that there was an election where fraud was committed. The trouble is, even if he proves it, let's say in the Supreme Court, that will not help his case in Bihar. What he needs to do is, he needs with his team to go and show how the EC is defrauding the voters. In this case, what they call permanently migrated, it's a joke. How can you say someone who's gone for a job for a month?
So I see, as an analyst, as a journalist yourself, Ajit, you are not convinced by the Election Commission's drive.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Can I come in, Nabila?
I think the Election Commission has no power to confer who is a citizen. No article in the Indian Constitution gives them that power. And the EC through backdoor is doing that. On what basis? By the way, the EC, one more point.
Nabila,
The EC said they will prove that voters from Nepal, voters from Bangladesh, voters from Myanmar are coming. They don't have a single example in that 760-page document that they have given. So what was this whole thing all about?
The
Nabila, can I
now
come in?
this is thoroughly disappointing. If at all there was a little trust in the Election Commission, it appears that journalists also viewing this the same way, that this could be a fraudulent activity to favor a political party.
Nabila, can I come in?
Yes, Karuna.
I just need to come in.
Nabila, it's not just the India alliance that is worried. They are going to try this all over the country, and their own ally, the Andhra Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, has raised objections and about the method and the timing of this exercise, and he has said that
Chandrababu Naidu has very clearly said that the exercise should be carried out way in advance. A lot of time should be given to people to actually help them furnish those documents, and Aadhaar and basic documents should be accepted, and that migrant workers should not be ignored. These are very pointed words and statements given by Chandrababu Naidu, the BJP's biggest ally. Go on, Manish. Manish, your own ally. Your own ally TDP has flagged this off, saying you're doing it in Bihar, don't do it here so hastily.
So, Nabila ji,
MP Yudhari Yadav gave an interview to Indian Express today where he has pointed out the problems with the entire thing that the EC is doing.
Is it that for the first time Election Commission was elected without judiciary? I thought during Congress rule long back, before this rule came, at that time it was only government which used to decide. So he need to answer that. That is one. Second,
for that situation,
he's
right?
talking about.
Manish, this is not a tit for tat situation. Anyway, that was a statement that I've also not delved into. I'm ignoring what was said there. But the crux of this all is
are getting wrong information, Nabila ji.
Okay,
Nabila, 10 seconds.
It should be fact checked. Right.
Okay.
So anybody cannot just
Yeah.
say anything on
Nabila,
a national channel.
yesterday,
So they have to be very
their
clear on
Pata
what they are
MP of
saying.
JDU,
The
Girdhari
second
Yadav,
part is
he
the second part
on
is very
camera he
important. Please
said
let me complete.
that
I never
he
interrupted you.
took him 10
Karuna ji,
days.
I never
Karuna, let
interrupted you.
Manish complete. One moment.
I never interrupted you.
Yeah.
Please allow me to complete. The second thing is that what Mr. Karuna said, and maybe, even from your side, I'm not saying that from your side it smacks of that kind of a bias, but I don't think Karuna ji has ever been to Bihar. He seems to think that Bihar is quite underdeveloped, and the tone and tenor says that in Bihar something of this exercise cannot happen. Now, this is something which comes as a very shocking to me, because the digitalization, even you said digitalization.
Those are sweeping assumptions, Manish. Those are sweeping assumptions. Those are
Yeah,
sweeping
I like to
what you are
reply
saying,
that.
that entire Bihar
like
is
to reply
digitized and
that.
they are able to adapt to digitization. They are able to
Absolutely,
adapt to the
absolutely. You need
survey
to
that
come to the
EC is
ground and
carrying
see
out
what
on
has
digital
happened.
platforms
I
is
strongly
far-fetched,
object
and these
to the
are
fact that
sweeping
you are saying
assumptions.
digitalization is
I
not
It's
there.
like to
far-fetched.
join
No.
this.
Right, but let me
I
complete.
like to reply
I
this,
just-
Nabila.
One more point I want you to say, and then I'll let you speak.
Okay.
But it is very important
No,
for
you made
people
a
to
personal
understand.
One moment,
remark
that
Manish,
about my
make
documents
that
being
point.
there.
Make that
uploaded
last point,
online.
sir. One moment.
Documents can be uploaded online, and if any migrant worker is there, anyone is there, they can upload these documents online. There is no physical verification of every person which is happening in first round. Only documents.
You know,
need to
you've
be
lost
sent.
a lot of
So
people
please
by
do
just
not-
saying that. You've lost the trust and faith of a lot of voters by just saying that you can upload it online. You know,
So,
even
Nabila,
my
no,
own,
I don't
even
agree
my
with
own
you.
parents
No,
don't
I
do
don't
stuff
agree with you.
online.
We have
And
not,
they are
because that's the way
seemingly
people
well
have been
educated,
functioning
well
in this-
placed.
in this current
My own
time.
parents don't do things online. They rely on us, and if we don't do it, then they're like, okay, forget it.
When it comes to important issues, your parents also do it. Maybe you do it on their behalf. But there
Yes,
are people who
but
are doing
what if
it.
I'm not
I
around?
don't think it is
What if-
happening.
what
Are you
if
saying
people
your
don't
parents
have-
do not do KYC?
Okay.
Are you saying your
You
parents
know-
don't do KYC?
No, a lot of them don't. Sir,
They
these
don't
are
have bank
sweeping
accounts.
assumptions, which is why I'm saying this justification is not adequate. I just want
So
to
you
ask
may
a very
disagree
simple
with
last
me,
question.
but then-
A very simple
but
last
then to
question.
say
that-
that-
Sir, a
Sorry,
very simple
I'm
last
sorry,
question
Nabila,
is
can I
what
come
are
in?
the
I would not agree
documents
with you on this.
accepted? What is the process? What are the documents accepted? Could you please explain? Karuna, if you want to explain, what are the documents accepted?
You see, they are asking for, there is a layered thing that which says birth certificate or birth certificate of even parents. You know, Bihar and what kind of documentation situation is there in Bihar. And their own MLA, JDU MLA, Dr. Sanjeev from Parbatta, he said that this is not a fair exercise. Their own BJP leader, Rajan Tiwari, said this is not a fair exercise. The sitting MP from Baka, Girdhari Yadav, said this is not a fair exercise, gave his own example that it took him 10 days to get his document. His son is in US. How will he come and sign? So in a document scarce state, when Aadhaar is being accepted for all government benefits, even for entering into the most high security zone like parliament, like airports, you can use Aadhaar. But here they are not accepting Aadhaar.
Okay, so this is basically indirectly a citizenship drive. They check NRC is being carried out.
Absolutely not, Nabila ji. Absolutely not.
Stay
See,
with us.
Avasiya Praman Patra, this I have also said that what is used in Aadhaar is Avasiya Praman Patra. In Bihar, Avasiya Praman Patra takes only 1 day to get it. If you have a Avasiya Praman Patra, then you will be able to put that document. It takes only 1 day. It's a bet. You take that and you will get it within 1 day. It is online. So every time Mr. Karuna Sagar says, every time I feel as if he has no understanding of what Bihar is right now. He has an old understanding. It is not RJD Congress rule in Bihar. Now it has been an NDA rule. People know their documents. They have all these things. And he thinks that Biharis do have documents.
Basically,
You
you're
go
coming
to
from a
villages
place
and you will
assuming
find
that everyone knows
everybody has more
everything
than required documents.
and the others aren't. A final question, no more political questions. Sorry, sir. A final question to Ajit. Just explain to us, Ajit, as the country is watching, they want to know if this is going to be coming to their doorstep tomorrow, in the days going forward. What are the documents that the EC is looking for?
Look, the EC still has not accepted the basic documents that majority of Indians have. That is Aadhaar, that is the ration card, that is the voting card issued by the EC. None of those are used. Let me tell you more paradoxes here. When I got my passport, I was asked to provide the Aadhaar card. Once I did, I got the passport. Now the funny thing is, passport is acceptable, but Aadhaar card is not. When I got any document that I need in India, I need the Aadhaar card. But once the Aadhaar card is not acceptable, everything else is. It's the most ridiculous logic that the EC is providing.
So if the EC meets the person at the person's home and the person has only an Aadhaar to prove, that's not eligible?
No, it's
It is
not.
eligible.
That is the shocking.
Please, I need to
After
come
the
there.
Supreme Court
I need
said,
to come there.
please hang on.
I need to come
The
there,
Supreme
Namita ji,
Court pointed
because
out,
they are
both
spreading
the
wrong facts.
judges.
Okay,
that the
Manish,
Aadhaar
you want to
card is
clarify?
considered.
Manish, you want to clarify?
Yeah, I would like to. If you do
Aadhaar
not
card
have
should
any
be
documents,
considered.
Okay, for the
Supreme
moment,
Court pointed
Manish,
out.
the BLO can come there and can actually verify that you belong to this place and you will be in electoral roll. You don't require any of those 9
Manish, what
documents
are you
if you are
talking
physically
about
present
the
in
BLO?
that.
No,
you
no,
need
no.
land papers.
Jharkhand
Land papers are there with people.
Who are the
You
BLO?
need Avasi
Nabila,
Praman. That is
Nabila,
there with
the
people.
BJP
There are
is
8, 9
BLO.
documents which are very easily
You
available.
let's do the exercise.
BLO
What is
From
happening?
what I
You
understand,
require
an exercise that should be
reality.
simple,
Tell me
an
in
exercise
Bihar,
that
who
should
does
actually
Bihar
invite voters to come out and vote, an exercise that should encourage people to go out there and vote and ensure that their names are there no matter what. Small errors should
cannot
be
have
actually
fraudulent
pardoned.
voters for that.
It seems like the
That-
opposite. The
that-
stringent
that-
rules, stringent policy now that the EC is enforcing to comply with the Election Commission seems a little misplaced at a time when there's elections in Bihar. Of course, questions being raised whether this is politically motivated because this exercise is happening just at the fag end, months to go for Bihar elections. So who will this really benefit? Well, you've heard voices there in the views. Thanks very much to our panelists for joining us. I will slip into a short break. We will come back with all the top stories on Day to Night. Stay with us.
एसोसिएट स्पॉन्सर डायना प्रीमियम ब्यूटी सोप, पहली झलक करे खूबसूरत।
ये रोशनी का सफर दिलचस्प है, दिलचस्प है।
हम सूरज से सिर्फ बिजली नहीं बनाते हैं, खुशहाली को देश के कोने कोने तक भी पहुंचाते हैं।
ये रोशनी का सफर
अदानी, हम करके दिखाते हैं।
Fresh air. The roof, but different. The grill, but different. The alloys, but different. The seats, but different. Different is in the XUV 3XO Rev X series, starting at rupees 8.94 lakh.
भाई, on road या ऑफ रोड?
रोड ट्रिप पे किस बाइक की सवारी होगी, ये खूबसूरत चिंता आप करिए। 2 व्हीलर लोन की चिंता हम संभाल लेंगे विद स्पॉट अप्रूवल एंड लोन अप टू 95%।
ये शहर भी तो अंगना तेरा मेरा, इसको भी रंग दो। इसको भी रंग दो, दुनिया को रंग दो।
Birla Opus Paints.
Go condoms?
It's over there.
क्या ये डिफरेंट साइजेस में आता है?
Actually, sir, size matter नहीं करता.
तो फिर क्या मैटर करता है?
The hardness
Of the condom.
of what's inside.
For the first time ever, presenting Hard Rock Gel, the hardness gel for men.
अब फ्री हर स्कोर कॉन्डम्स के 10 पैक के साथ।
Right, let's start with our top story here. Big win for India indeed, as Prime Minister Modi and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer have just signed a mega trade deal, one that promises to make Indians shopping cheaper, exports stronger, and jobs more secure. So what's in it for India? Indian goods now enter the UK duty-free. That's great news, of course, for our textile workers, for leather makers, toy factories, for seafood exports, and for our farmers. In fact, 95% of our farm products, like mango pulp, pickles, tea, spices will all now land in British supermarkets without heavy taxes. Now the flip coin, UK goods like premium cars, whiskey are about to get cheaper here. Car duties will drop to 10%. Whiskey tariffs will in fact go half for the first few years, and then over the 10 years will fall sharper. Medical equipment, generic medicines, even ECG and X-ray machines from India will be exported more easily, opening big markets for our pharma and medtech sectors. Now, freelancers and professionals, Indian chefs, yoga teachers, IT consultants, or anything that you're doing freelance in UK, you will be allowed to stay up to 2 years without needing local tests or paying their social security. Nearly 75,000 Indian workers posted in UK will now be able to save money. No more double contribution to pensions or social security. Of course, the deal even boosts our women entrepreneurs, especially in crafts like Kolhapuri chappals, handlooms and heritage products. In short, this, of course, is not just a trade deal. It's better prices, more exports, new jobs, global respect for Made in India, and the two countries coming together in a relationship never seen before. Cutting across to Bengaluru, Karnataka's RCB stampede case. Big action that's come in on the Chinnaswamy stampede case that's left 11 RCB fans dead. The Karnataka cabinet has cracked a whip ordering criminal cases against top officials of the RCB management, as well as the Cricket Association, the Karnataka State Cricket Association, KSCA, and DNA Entertainment Networks, the event managers of that event. Among those who now face criminal prosecution, particularly naming them, are Raghuram Bhatt, president of the KSCA, A. Shankar, former secretary, Jairam, former treasurer, Rajesh Menon, VP RCB, Venkat Vardhan, MD of DNA Networks, and Sunil Mathur, VP of DNA Networks. These are people who will be facing prosecution as per the Decoding report. Now this, of course, all these allegations comes as part of Justice Michael Licuna's commission report that's been tabled before the cabinet, which held RCB and DNA squarely responsible, not just RCB. The report holds RCB, KSCA and DNA Networks responsible for negligence and mismanagement on that day of stampede. Of course, the buck doesn't stop there. The cabinet has now also cleared departmental inquiry against several senior police officers, including Dayanand, former police commissioner of Bengaluru, IPS officers Vikas Kumar and Shekhar, ACP Balakrishna and Inspector Girish from Cubbon Park Division. The commission also blames the police for lapses in crowd control, poor coordination and failure to act despite multiple red flags. Of course, DNA Entertainment Networks there, meanwhile, has gone legal. They've challenged this report in the Karnataka High Court. They call this absolutely biased, one-sided, say that it was, in fact, the report was leaked to the media and they never got a fair opportunity to carry out their argument. On the political front, BJP MLA Arvind Bellard has accused the Congress government of shielding itself. In fact, he says the cabinet is scapegoating the police officers and the event managers, while those in power who actively attended the event and endorsed it remain untouched. And that's really the irony. In fact, no minister has taken moral or political responsibility for a tragedy that unfolded right under their nose at an event they themselves were very much part of. Images that you're seeing on our screens, this was not it. Even in Chinnaswamy, where the stampede happened right outside, DK Shivkumar was there. So 11 young fans, the superstar murder accused. Now he was granted bail. It seems like that hasn't boded well with the Supreme Court. It was the bail that shocked the nation. How did murder accused superstar Darshan walk free so easily and fly off to shoot in Thailand while he's on trial? Supreme Court has come down heavily on the Karnataka High Court for granting him bail, slamming the Karnataka High Court that bail granted to Darshan in Renuka Swamy murder case is perverse exercise of judicial power. The top court has questioned how the Karnataka High Court could pass what looked more like an acquittal than a bail order, especially in a section 302 case that involves abduction, torture and murder. Justice Pardiwala has asked very bluntly, does the High Court issue such orders in every bail case? This is very troubling to us. Precisely what the Supreme Court has said with regards to Karnataka High Court's order granting Darshan bail. Supreme Court has now reserved its judgment on the state's plea to cancel Darshan's bail course, fireworks unfolded in court. The state's counsel, Siddharth Luthra, cited CCTV footage, call data, forensic reports, even revealing 2 fresh FIRs against Darshan while he was out on bail, including being seen with prosecution witnesses, saying all of this material is there, yet this man is let go on bail. Darshan's lawyer, in the meanwhile, Siddharth Dave, has argued back, saying that eyewitnesses are unreliable, statements were delayed, and the case itself is full of inconsistencies, so he has the right to bail. In fact, Darshan's lawyer has accused the prosecution of trying to suppress facts. But the bench wasn't convinced. Justice Pardiwala in the Supreme Court has asked, why day-to-day trial for Darshan when everyone else, all the other under trials, have to wait for 5 to 7 years for such a bail to come by? Darshan is accused of abducting and torturing his fan Renuka Swamy to death over messages allegedly sent to his partner and actress Pavitra Gowda. Darshan is currently in Thailand shooting for his next film, Devil, while he's on bail. He's expected to return in a day's time. The Supreme Court has reserved its verdict, a ruling that could not only decide Darshan's fate but also will reset the way courts across India handles bail in such serious criminal offences. And here's a digital scam, a crime that you may not have heard of. It could happen to you or me. Here's for you to beware. Digital scamsters yet again in Bengaluru. In a case, 2 disturbing cases in fact coming to light of digital arrest, where in the first case 2 women, including a Thai national, were tricked by fraudsters posing as Mumbai police and CBI officers. Their nightmare began at around 11 a.m. when the visiting Thai friend got a call claiming that she was involved in a money laundering racket and also human trafficking. And also her name is linked to some murder. And it's linked to Jet Airways founder Naresh Goyal. So this foreigner, a Thai national who was in India, petrified, responded to these scamsters. In fact, these scamsters, to appear legit, revealed the details of her debit card. They in fact had details of her debit card. So that's how far and progressed professionals these criminals were. And that really triggered panic among that 2 women. The Thai woman, realizing that her information was all compromised and they had it all, she believed that they were police. And then she was under arrest, digital arrest. In fact, on WhatsApp video for 9 hours, these girls were under digital arrest and they were made to transfer nearly 58,447 rupees, promising a refund if that case was absolved. If that wasn't really black money, if they were not linked to that case, then this 58,000 will come back to you. This is more or less what they were told. It didn't end there. They were made to undergo a medical test, all on video call, to check for bullet wounds or tattoos. And these girls were actually coerced to stripping naked. The scam was only exposed when one of the women reached out to a friend who immediately raised an alarm and said that this is fake, false, it's a fraud. A case has now been registered under the IT Act and the BNS. In the second case, a quick look at a 78-year-old man digitally arrested, again similar fashion, for nearly 2 months from May 21st to July 10th. The scamsters posed again as Mumbai Crime Branch officials, robbed him of 83.2 lakhs, threatening to frame him in a fake bank fraud case. Experts are now saying that digital arrest is a fake concept, and of course, we don't need experts to say it. It is fake. You would know very well. Police never interrogate you over video calls. So do not transfer your money out of fear. Verify calls from unknown numbers. And if anyone really demands money or worse, your dignity, asking you to strip, the biggest red flag that you can get, hang up and immediately. All right, a quick look at Rishabh Pant. Big setback for Team India in the 4th test at Old Trafford. Star wicketkeeper, batter Rishabh Pant has been ruled out of 6 weeks after fracturing his toe. The injury happened late on day 1. Rishabh Pant tried a reverse sweep off Chris Woakes' missed, and then the full toss slammed into his foot. Now he was in visible agony, had to be taken off the field on a golf cart. A blood stain on the foot said it all. Quite clear that he was really in pain. India now faces a massive blow in a must-win match without one of their best performing batters this series. Rishabh Pant been in sublime touch. 462 runs so far, 2 centuries, 2 50s, second highest in the series. Let's not forget, same Rishabh Pant who just last year made a miraculous return to cricket after a horrific car crash. He had multiple injuries. He worked on himself really hard, got himself to become fit and came back and performing well. Months of rehab and surgeries, soul-crushing recovery, only to fight his way back in the top form. And now this was a real heartbreak for him and, of course, for Team India. Ishan Kishan has been called in for the final test at the Oval starting July 31st. For now, Team India's medical staff will decide if at all Rishabh Pant can bat later, maybe with painkillers, but it looks unlikely. And if he doesn't, then India will be one batter short in a do-or-die game. Rishabh Pant, the fighter, down, but certainly not out. All right, a quick look at these scamsters in the United States. Indian couple who've been arrested. They threw glitzy parties, posed with Bollywood stars, claimed to run a booming real estate business in Texas. But now, Sammy and Sunita Mukherjee are currently in jail, accused of masterminding a $4 million fraud that's shaken over 100 investors in the US. The FBI says that this Indian-American couple from North Texas lured people with promises of big returns on real estate. They allegedly showed fake remodeling contracts, forged invoices, even used Dallas Housing Authority's name to make it all look very legit. But turns out the properties, the deals, the documents were all fake. Investigators say that the fraud didn't stop really there. The couple also created a fake firm altogether to bag a COVID-era paycheck protection loan. And in a disturbing twist, they even posed as police to con many elderly victims. Lead investigator detective has said Sammy Mukherjee, the man, is one of the most prolific con men that he's seen in 23 years of his career, with scams spreading all directions. That's what the US police say. In fact, the Mukherjees now face felony theft charges and could land them behind bars for up to 99 years in the United States. They first came to US from India, reportedly seeking asylum. Sammy also faces fraud charges back in Mumbai, but he's calling this case a smear campaign driven by jealousy. He says he has done nothing wrong. Now, sadly, a devastating air tragedy that struck Russia's Far East. A Soviet-era passenger plane carrying dozens of people vanished from radar has now been found in flames. A Russia passenger plane crashes and all 49 on board have died. The Antonov AN-24, nearly 5 decades old, crashed while approaching its destination, and very, very sad to hear. In fact, this area where it crashed borders China. According to officials, the plane dropped off the radar just minutes before landing. Rescue helicopters spotted the fuselage engulfed in flames on the forestland hillside, about 15 kilometers from Tinda. Preliminary reports there suggesting that there were about 49 people on board, 5 children, 6 crew members, and there are fears that there's nobody there to tell a story. Everyone has died. Burning wreckage of that Russian plane was seen when there were emergency teams that were trying to scout parts of Russia to see where it had disappeared. The aircraft, this one, was built in 1976. It's nearly 50 years old. Emergency responders are making their way through difficult terrain to reach the crash site. At this point, all they have is this visual. Of course, they're trying to get closer to this crash site to bring back whatever remains they can. Russia's aviation authority and local officials there launching an urgent investigation to determine how this happened, this catastrophic crash. A story that's really rocked and shocked Singapore. A Singapore businesswoman has been found dead just a day after accusing her Indian employee of faking a workplace injury to claim injury compensation, which Singapore gives. Now, Jane Lee, that's her on our screens, 40-year-old, mother of 2. She ran a sumo salad restaurant in Holland Village. On July 18th, she posted a very explosive post where she accused her Indian staffer, Indian national Sran Kiranjit Kaur, of staging a fall on an escalator while dumping garbage, only to try and claim false insurance. Basically, try to claim that she fell only so that she could claim insurance from the government. There is a work injury insurance that the government gives to employees. So that's what she was trying to claim, faking it. Lee, the employer, had said that she had CCTV proof that Kaur was walking very normally when no one was watching her. But the moment someone started, especially when the doctors came in to check her, then dramatically she would act like as if her leg was hurting and she would start limping. So Lee alleges that this was part of a targeted scam, that some of these migrant workers, and this is why this has led to a larger debate now, that migrant workers could be indulging in such a fraud, where they go into workplaces and they pretend as if they've fallen or they've injured at the workplace, and then they claim workplace injury insurance. So according to Lee, those who have those companies or businesses that have insurance, they take a big payout of them. In fact, they try to extract a lot more, and those without insurance, they blackmail them and take money under the table. So chilling claims that Lee had made. Now what's all the more chilling is that Jane Lee is actually dead. Just a day after she put out that post against that Indian national, who Indian origin person who was basically working under her, a day later she's been found dead. And of course, investigators are looking at this as a case of unnatural death. How did she die? Was she murdered? All those questions currently looming. But Singapore Ministry of Manpower says it's verifying the case with insurers, and as much as they're investigating Lee's death, they're also now very thoroughly looking into work injury compensation abuse. This scheme that they say is only for the benefit of people, but if people are misusing it, especially if this Indian has done it, then serious charges will be slammed and slapped against them. And finally, a quick look. Just days after the Indian student was brutally assaulted in Adelaide, another disturbing crime rocking Australia. We're looking at a temple in Australia, Melbourne, that's been defaced with hate slurs, sparking outrage across communities and calls for swift action. The Sri Swaminarayan temple in Boronia, Melbourne, has been defaced with wild racist graffiti, as you see on our screens, the latest in a string of hate crimes targeting Indian communities in Australia. The incident occurred a few days ago when red spray painted slurs, in fact, they were found scrolling all across the temple's walls. The hateful messages were not limited to the temple. At least 2 nearby Asian-run restaurants as well. Indian restaurants also saw similar graffiti. So it's a clear case of hate crime. The Hindu Council of Australia has now condemned this attack, calling it deeply hurtful. And they want answers from the Australian government and better protection for the Indian community. Though Victoria's Premier, Jacinta Ardern, has strongly denounced the vandalism and targeting against the Indian community, calling it a deliberate act of hate, admitting it that there should be immediate action. In a powerful statement, she's emphasized that the act was not just graffiti, it was an attack on the values of safety, belonging and multiculturalism. Of course, Australia now assuring, based on all the CCTV footage and images that you see here, that strict action will be taken. Those accused will be arrested. On that note, it's a wrap from me right here on News 9. Thanks very much for watching. We'll be right here tomorrow, same time. Stay with us.
एसोसिएट स्पॉन्सर एंकर टूथपेस्ट, नए जमाने की नई सुरक्षा.
Fresh air. The grill, but different. The alloys, but different. The sunroof, but different. The seats, but different. Different is in the XUV 3XO Rev X series, starting at rupees 8.94 lakh.
Score condoms?
It's over there.
क्या ये डिफरेंट साइजेस में आता है?
Actually, sir, size matter नहीं करता.
तो फिर क्या मैटर करता है?
The hardness
Of the condom.
of what's inside.
For the first time ever, presenting Hard Rock Gel, the hardness gel for men.
अब फ्री हर स्कोर कॉन्डम्स के 10 पैक के साथ.
खूबसूरत सी तुम कोई चिंता करो, पीछे भरोसा खड़ा है तुम्हारे, तुम नया कल बनाते रहो.
जब कोई हमारी बाकी चिंताओं को संभाल लेता है तो हम कर पाते हैं खूबसूरत सी कोई चिंता. टाटा कैपिटल में हम आपकी हर फाइनेंशियल चिंता को संभाल लेते हैं ताकि आप करें सिर्फ खूबसूरत चिंताएं.
Denzization is happening not just for insurance, across products and services actually. And I love how you say manufacturer instead of saying service provider. It's like, the question I want to ask at this stage is this. Okay, that's the big buzz. What, according to you, is overhyped in the world of advertising and marketing and branding, and hence is actually quite blah?
I think the catch-22 is going to be between the role of marketing as communication providers and as communication engines for a business versus marketing being a growth driver. I think if you were to look at how marketing has evolved over these many years, and specifically in the last maybe 5 to 7 odd years, is about the fact that today marketing is just not a content provider engine for a business or in the traditional world advertising creators. I think anything that drives growth could be driven by pure advertising, growth could be driven by content, growth could be driven by a social media platform. Growth, by the way, could also be driven by what happens on the ground in terms of experiential in that sense.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
India and the United Kingdom sign historic free trade agreement aiming to double bilateral trade by 2030. The FTA is going to slash tariffs on key goods like British whiskey, cars, chocolates as well, at the same time boosting market access for Indian goods at a time of global trade uncertainties. India also ups the pressure on UK over fugitive extradition. Prime Minister Modi backs close agency coordination. The CBI and the United Kingdom Crime Agency have signed a memorandum of understanding to fight corruption, organized crime, bring economic offenders and